Colin, let's start with you. There are new benefits to creators here. Creators can start making money earlier. Creators can more easily find the music that they want and integrate that into their videos. How did this all land with you? How much of an improvement is this from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a huge improvement. For us, there's already an incentive for us as creators that make long form videos to post shorts because we find a lot of distribution, we find a lot of audience. We don't necessarily rely on it for monetization, but now that is something we can focus on. And I think, when I look at this announcement, it's really just about the fact that now there is a light bulb that can go off for a lot of new creators that, they can get paid by the platform and they can start building a career.
That said, YouTube is also upping its commission for shorts, taking 55%. I believe that's up from 45%. Samir, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I think, the reality of it is that on shorts, there's a little bit more nuance than long form content, especially when it comes to music. Music is a big part of short form content, and YouTube has decided to take on the cost of music on behalf of the creators. So, at a glance, when you look at it, you say, okay, wait a second, this is a flipped version of what we're used to. YouTube typically takes 45%, but, what they're doing is actually allowing creators to use music that they couldn't use before and covering a license fee for that. So in my opinion, when you look at it, the cost that they're incurring, I think it makes sense that in this specific instance, it's Swift.
Colin, there are a lot of platforms out there, a lot of platforms vying for your time and the time of other creators. What didn't you hear from YouTube that you would like to hear?
I mean, to be honest, I was really excited about the opportunity for revenue sharing on shorts. I do think it's super important that, we are growing businesses here as creators, and we do want to be partnered on a holistic level with the platforms that we're using. I think what will happen as this rolls out is more creators are going to want a lot of transparency about how the payments are doled out because YouTube has always been really transparent. And so I think that's what we're going to see is like a true understanding broken down from the creator side of how we're getting paid.
Now you're both on YouTube and TikTok. As creators, Samir, why don't you take this one? How do they compare and what do you make of the competition between them?
So I think there's one fundamental difference between the two platforms that, we've been on YouTube for 10 years. And in those 10 years, we've always been in partnership with the platform. The difference is that when we make money, YouTube makes money and vice versa. And that's truly a partnership. When it comes to TikTok, and their fund, it's never really felt like a partnership. It's very unclear how you build a career on TikTok, specifically when it comes to platform payments. Typically, we've seen people build audiences on TikTok and then transition them to YouTube to build their careers. So in my opinion, when you look at this, and again, from our experience building a career on YouTube, there's a different depth of the audience, and there's also a different depth of platform engagement when it comes to how the platform actually pays you. And then again, I think when you look at TikTok, a lot of people go to TikTok for the For You page. They're not necessarily going for specific creators. If you take the top creators off of TikTok, it's still enjoyable on the For You page. But if you go to YouTube and you start taking off the top creators, YouTube's a totally different place. So I think YouTube is a lot more creator focused, and that comes across in the way that they pay creators.
So, as you think about where to invest your time and your money, Colin, how do you see the creator economy evolving? How are you watching? I mean, there seems to be new opportunities, new platforms, new ways of reaching fans every day. How are you making those calculations on a daily basis about where to spend your time?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no doubt that the majority of creators, their primary business is advertising based, whether that's being paid by a platform like YouTube or working with brand sponsors. And I think, what's already happening but is going to increase is going to be more direct to consumer, where creators are launching their own brands and their audiences have a loyalty to them and not necessarily some of the legacy brands that we know.
You guys also do a podcast series called Creator Support. You answer questions from your audience of creators. What are they most concerned about right now, Samir?
Man, Emily, I'm so happy you brought up creator support. That's so great. It's really fun because we get like the pulse of what the problems are for aspiring creators. And what's really important to note is that this is the land of creative entrepreneurship. And a lot of these, young creators are first-time entrepreneurs. So a lot of the questions we get are around like pricing. How do you price yourself? Legal. How do you review contracts? What should I be looking out for? Taxes. How do I do my taxes as a creator? So a lot of this stuff comes down to just fundamentals of entrepreneurship. And I think that's what's really important is that if you're looking at the creator economy, this is really just a form of entrepreneurship. It's media first entrepreneurship. And I think that's what's really important to recognize. The problems that we're facing in the creator economy are the same problems that young startups face, that young entrepreneurs face. So that's what we see a lot on creator support. And then I think beyond that, it's a creative business. So you do get a lot of questions around purpose, right? How do I lock into something that I can do for the next 5-10 years? Not just, get myself involved in a viral trend or something that's happening right now. How do I actually turn this into a long-term sustainable career? And some of that is yet to be seen. But the creators who have done that for a really long time, what we're seeing is, ability to evolve as platforms evolve and as changes, are made to the platforms like what happened today with YouTube.
So, Colin, what's one piece of advice for, the aspiring content creators out there? A piece of advice that's not obvious, especially after seeing these changes from YouTube today. What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is a question that we get a lot. And what Samir just brought up there, about purpose, that is actually like what the advice is that I always give is that, if you're going to be a content creator, make sure that you have a true understanding of why you're doing it, who's the audience you want to serve. If you were to take social platforms away, what are the communities that you're existing in real life? Because, it's important that you always have that base level understanding that what you're doing by making media online is actually just like speaking to actual people and providing them some value. So I always encourage new creators, start with your IRL life. What are the communities you're a part of? Who are the people you want to serve? And then once you know that, you'll have a much longer trajectory as a creator.